first thing is, let me tell you a little bit about the company I work for. I work for Anglo-American, which is a multinational mining company, and I'm going to be relocating to Brazil in 2 weeks' time. So for the last 6 months I've been learning Portuguese, actually, as part of preparation for going to Brazil. The role that I'm going to take up in Brazil, I'm going to be the regional head of exploration, and that involves traveling right around Brazil, working with a team of about 100 people, exploring for mainly nickel, iron ore and copper. And many of the employees that we have in Brazil actually don't speak English. Most of the senior managers do, but it's very important for me in particular, as much as anything, for my credibility and being a leader and a manager of this team, to be able to actually talk in their language. It's critical. And so as a consequence of this, I decided 6 months ago to look for support from the company, and they agreed that I really did need to be fluent, or reasonably fluent, in Portuguese before I got there. An important part of going to Brazil, obviously, is that my wife and I are going there together. And so one of the things that I was looking for was a company that was prepared to tailor the training, the language training, not only for my business use, but also for my wife. Obviously, a happy wife is a happy life, and especially when you're going to a foreign country, I think it's critical for a couple to work on this together. So when I first approached Linguarama, I was obviously looking for a course that suited my the business and the position I was going into, and could help me address those needs. But also importantly, it was very important for Vicky, my wife, to be able to be comfortable living and operating in Brazil and managing a house. So what we ended up doing was tailoring 2 courses, one for myself and one for Vicky, which Linguarama has taken us through in the last 6 months. From the outset, when I met with Linguarama, I was certainly very impressed, because they appreciated the reality of having a job and learning isn't easy, and it needed to be a flexible program. So what we agreed on is that initially I do a program of about 2 or 3 months to get a basic grounding, and then closer towards the end of leading up to the time of me going to Brazil, we actually look at something called a power track course, where I actually did intensive Portuguese for essentially 8 or 9 hours a day. I mean, it included, when you go to lunch, sitting and actually talking to a teacher one-on-one in the language. And doing that for 5 days. And in fact, I've done 2 blocks of a week each. So in the last 6 months, I will have done effectively about 150 hours of Portuguese. The teachers are native speakers. I mean, in my case, I've had a teacher from Sao Paulo, who's lived now in London for 20 years. So she's fluent in English, but obviously is a Brazilian. And that's made a huge difference. The way the course is structured, there's enough theory in the book that you've always got that to refer back to. But during the lesson, it's like I've found it hugely engaging. It's been one of the most interesting conversations I have every week. I actually look forward to my lessons, because you engage with a Brazilian, you start to talk about the country, the customs, you start to understand things like their national holidays, the food. You can read a menu. I mean, there's just so many things that you start to appreciate, which are more than just the language. I'm about to fly out from London, moving to Brazil with Vicky, my wife, in 2 weeks. It's a new country, a new continent. And I can say with absolute certainty that we're actually looking forward to it now. Both of us have been there on a reconnaissance visit in the last 2 months, and we were pleased to be able to survive catching planes, getting a taxi on our own, going shopping on our own. 2 stories that I want to tell you. I think they're both great, which show how we've progressed, or how I think Linguarama has brought me along. The first was a business dinner with my local managers that I'll be working with and their wives, and the whole evening was in Portuguese. I really was able to hold what I would regard as a basic conversation, and it was great fun, because I'm sure that, quite frankly, the wives of these managers were even more nervous than me that they would have to go to a dinner where they were speaking in English. So to me, it was a sort of mark of success. And the second story was coming back out of Brazil. I was checking in on my own on a regional airline, and I actually asked in English for a window seat next to the emergency exit because it had a little bit more leg room. And I heard them muttering away at the check-in desk, and I picked up that they were concerned that I couldn't speak Portuguese. So I quickly, in Portuguese, said, "No, don't worry, I can speak Portuguese." And the outcome was I got the seat at the emergency exit. So to me, that was another plus. I would certainly recommend this to anybody considering moving to a new country and having to step outside of their comfort zone in a new language. The experience that I've gained in the last 6 months really has been quite invaluable. I feel very comfortable and confident going to what is going to be a new environment for myself and for my wife. Also, think hard about what it is that in terms of the job you're going to, what's the language that you need to learn and tailor it, because Linguarama will respond to that. If it's more of a business situation, they'll structure it that way. In my wife's case, there was a lot more around maintaining a household, shopping, buying food and those sort of things. But in summary, it's been a lot of fun. It's opened up new windows and, let's say, doors for me, and quite frankly, muito bom.